Welcome to the Generation Y channel. Please like, share, subscribe. My name's Dan. I'm from America, and I'm here with my good friend Mark from the Great Britain area of the world that is somewhat free. And in America, we're also somewhat free, and we're trying to take some of our liberties back. As you can see, I have transformed from the ashes we rise. I have decided to compete or the lack thereof with my long hair. I decided to get rid of it. I'm going bald. It's happening someday, but
He's
I
trying to make you
decided,
feel good. He's trying to make
yeah,
you less jealous.
exactly. It needed to happen. No, but I just felt like it was time for a change. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the response from the ladies, you just immediately, like, I walked out, dude. The confidence was there. I think I felt good with the haircut, and I mean, I'm telling you, man, Lay's been like coming up. I run with my shirt off. You know, I'm getting whistles. I'm getting the whole nine.
Good for
I
you,
look
man.
thinner. I look a little bit thinner with all the hair gone, so that's nice. But today, we're here to ask questions. We're here to demand answers. We want to, if you're new here, or you just discovered us randomly, you're sitting there and it's 3 a.m. and you're bored, stoned, or you're just looking for some entertainment. We're glad that you came along. Just remember all these things that we're talking about I think it's something really important to bring up is things evolve, things change, right? Like, and whether it's people, ideas, history, and that's why it's really important here for two men to come together and to discuss what's happening in their world. This is more of a historical record. Things will change, our opinions will change. So let's just keep an open mind here. But to think for 1 second that we should not be able to question the authorities that be, and that we aren't able to be to be able to conduct the process of critical thinking. And I think this is where there is some definitely disconnect here with me and against a lot of people. I believe you don't need an education to be intelligent. I don't believe you need an education to be able to critically think. And as the vaccine hesitancy rates here in the United States prove, the two most likely people to be vaccine hesitant are the uneducated and PhDs. Those are the highest groups in the United States. It's everybody in the middle that kind of falls into the more accepting of these authoritarian edicts and mandates from our governments and bureaucracies. So anyway, that's my enough of my rambling there. I just wanted to make that clear. I feel good. I defeated the Delta variant. I am ready for Epsilon, Lambda, whatever
Bring
comes
it.
next. Bring it. And I think the first thing we wanted to talk about today is something that I'm not going to say I discovered it for myself for the first time. I didn't realize that this had happened. I guess this is something more in the vaccine hesitant circles or people who are looking for at least information had discovered recently. But on October 22nd, 2020, the FDA was doing on their official YouTube channel.
What does FDA? Is that Federal Drug?
Food Drug Administration. So they're in charge of like what goes in our food, like certain chemicals can't be used, blah, 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 which let's just say that they're probably full of shit because there's a lot of terrible stuff in our food. Let's just like put that there. And America's like, I think one of the most obese countries in the world. I think they're like up there. We're like number one and by a large margin.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Pacific nations are up there as well, but then America as well.
America's like just per capita. I think we're just ripping. We're ripping. We're winning that fight for sure. It's so the FDA skips this slide, and I basically discovered it because of Twitter. I saw a guy post something about, like, hey, dude, like, check out this is a weird moment on this video. Go to 2 hours, 33 minutes, and 41 seconds. So I went, and it does skip. So I slowed it down and I paused it. And to be clear, the video does say, hey, like, this is the adverse effects thing. We're going to skip it right now. But Tom will talk about it later. It's 8-hour video. I could not find the Tom part. Could never see. I scanned. I was looking for it to be brought up again. I didn't see it. And that was concerning to me personally, because I think one of the main things that everybody has been worried about since the beginning of all this stuff is informed consent. the main populace being informed of what the possible adverse effects could be. And it's the same reason why if you ever see a commercial or any type of medicine, they're like, could possibly lead to ulcers, bleeding in internally, and death or something. And you're like, okay, like I'm just depressed, bro. I don't want, like I'm just depressed. Like whatever. And this is the same FDA that allowed, that was basically working with these big companies to push the opioid epidemic and hide things. And when they basically said that as an opioid that, what was one of the big ones? Vicodin is non-addictive. That was their literature. That was the official literature they were handing to doctors.
Did you ever see the adverts for those pills where they're like, I've never felt this good in years.
Yeah, and they're
it's got me walking my dog again.
I think they should make that shit illegal. You should not be able to do ads for any type of.
Well, we don't have those here.
Yeah, only America, New Zealand, I think, are like the only places in the world. I know America is one of the few countries that allows these companies to advertise on TV, newspapers, and so on and so forth, which is a big problem because now we see this effect where, the vaccine companies are donating and paying for ads of millions of dollars to our press. And that causes some concern for people because it's like they don't care. They care about pushing and making profits for companies. It's just unfortunately, I think that's true. Because even Tucker Carlson has been very quiet about some of these things. And I'm not saying that he hasn't brought up concerns about this. He likes to wait for information for what it seems like, but even he, who's been very critical, is still held a little bit by the balls by Fox because they get money donated to them. So basically, this slide has a bunch of adverse effects. And one of the ones that stuck out to me was the first one, which is Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Yeah.
It's sort of nerve disorder, I believe, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And that was the first warning label that was attached to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So I thought that to be very interesting, personally.
Yeah. Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that one of the side effects on there was just death.
But the thing is, okay, in any medicine you take, even ibuprofen can have side effects for a certain amount of people.
Ibuprofen can, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's not the idea that this is probably still not a minute amount of people. It's very small, probably, in comparison to the overall populace of people getting this. But I'm just saying, to actually consent, you need to have information, which is the whole point of these commercials. But this is the issue. So, this is the crazy part about the qualified immunity for these vaccine distributors and manufacturers. Any person that is involved in the process of making, distributing, any person that is involved in these companies that is involved, period, cannot get in trouble. So even if someone deliberately does something illegal, they can't be held accountable by the government.
Yeah, it's bananas. Obviously, it's not quite the same here anymore, at least. But yeah, it's crazy. I had this piece which came out a month after that video, or after that, what was the press conference?
Are you talking about the October 22nd?
Yeah. Whatever it was, anyway. Only a month later, a very mainstream media source, CNBC, came out, and in their health and science section, they said, doctors say the CDC should warn people the side effects from COVID vaccine shots will not just be a walk in the park. The CDC has been given a list of side effects that could be caused by the COVID vaccines, and they must be transparent about the side effects that people will experience. And then it just says a bunch of doctors' names say that both Pfizer and Moderna and the AstraZeneca vaccines require 2 doses, and she worries whether patients will come back for a second dose because of potentially unpleasant side effects after the first shot. And what I find really strange in this article is it kind of feels like they're minimizing it to a degree. They're trying to make you think that it's just the fact that a lot of people feel a bit rough after the first one, like I did, because they say people won't come back for the second one. But they say that the CDC have been given a list. So I feel like some people, maybe I'm guilty of this, but I feel like somewhere along the line, the phrase side effect is not computing, because to me, a side effect would be like, oh, you get a little headache for a few hours, or you might feel a bit tired.
Yeah.
Like a side effect isn't like you'll have, you know, what's the word? Irreparable nerve damage in your fingers, and you'll never be able to hold your child again. Or whatever.
Yeah, what should that change to though? If it's not a side effect, would it be like how about lifelong effect? A side effect seems temporary.
Yeah,
Like there
it's a
is like
small
you're
deal.
talking about, but the thing, are these permanent?
Well,
Are
Guillain
these
Barre
always
is, yeah,
well, right? Okay, so like there is some like death is permanent, like there's
yeah,
like the Guillain-Barre syndrome or whatever. I just think it's that adverse effect could be, it's very vague and intentional in his vagueness.
yeah,
And I believe in like, okay, well, we need to be able to categorize these things in a proper way. Side effect is short term, within like a week to 2 week of effects, maybe, let's just say. And then you have your midterm effects, which could be nerve damage that will be repaired over 6 months
yeah,
to a year,
yeah,
whatever it may be. And then you have lifelong effects. I think that they use the grouping of adverse effects with innocuous things like headaches or this and that
yeah.
to make you feel like, oh, well, it
Can't
could
be that
cause this,
bad.
but it could also cause a headache. So it's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
what's the big deal?
yeah.
And also, like, who are the more susceptible people to get these adverse effects? Who are the like that's what I don't understand.
Mm,
It's like how in a population, in a part of the population that is the younger side of things, are less likely for sure to have serious complications from COOF, right? The COOF. Like just statistically, like, you just take it the data and you're like, in the United States, under the age of 40, it's like 18,000 people
Can I
have
just
passed.
interject really quickly, because Ian Crossland made a really good point about this the other day as well, which is, not only are you much less likely, because obviously we know that, let's say for the sake of argument that 10,000 people over 80 get it in a society, 7,000 over 60, 4,000 over 30, and then 1,000 over 20. It's not just that. It's the fact that if you are between like 20 and 50 or whatever and you get it, or you have an issue, it's because you've already got, like you already have, what do they call them?
Comorbidities,
Yeah,
usually.
yeah. So it's not just the fact that you're that much less likely. It's the fact that if you have no comorbidities and you're between 20 and 40, you're almost, I mean, it's tiny. Like, it's minuscule. It's even
Right.
smaller than the percentage that they're telling you.
And this is what I think I have the problem with, like, our current institutions. And as Murray and Rothbard said in Anatomy of the State, I think he clearly outlines a very simple way to defeat these things: parallel institutions. If
Mm,
you don't like, and this is like when you see the censorship rising on Twitter, Parler came out, and Getter or Gab or whatever, and Gab built out its own servers and did its own thing. It was very expensive, and like, this is how you beat them. This is how you
mm.
win. People think that creates echo chambers. Well, Twitter is an echo chamber too. So
Yeah.
it's just something that, like, how do you beat the state? How do you beat these corporations?
Mm,
And uh, when you're dealing with an institution that has no principles, why the hell should you? This is really the question we have to ask ourselves. This is what the left gets right. When you're dealing with an institution that has no principles, why the hell should you have principles when dealing with that institution? And I think that's a fair point. If the government can come and shut down your business and lock you in your homes and arrest you or fine you for not following their edicts, the question is, well, why should I deal with this institution in any way that's not treating me fairly, and not treating me with some sense of humanity, and that I have the right to prosperity and liberty, and the freedom to exchange ideas, and the freedom to distribute my goods, and in exchange for that, I get currency.
mm.
And they stripped us of that right, at least in America, very severely.
Oh, yeah, they did here as well. Yeah, it's crazy to me. I think people just wanted the truth, like, the whole time. if they had said to us, like, look, we're not 100% sure about this, but, we feel like it would give you the best possible chance, then I think people would respect that a lot more than just being forced into something and lots of kind of shady areas. And something that I heard the other day by Fauci, really, really, I think we've talked about this briefly with somebody else from my country. As in, I've talked to you about it from a health guy from my country that said this, that utterly terrifies me because I know that they're lying now. Fauci said, when he was doing his little TikTok things where he was getting TikTok influencers to kind of force people into getting the jab. So it's over the last few days, he got a load of TikTok kids to kind of,
Yes.
had it. He was on their channel and they'd be like, "Hey, Mr. Fauci, how are you?" And then he'd like plug his,
And then they
and
read the email they got from the White House, like the
yeah,
question.
yeah. And so what he said that really, really made me think was, he said, because somebody asked him, if you get it, like, can you still spread it and da da da? And he said, if you get the jab, it doesn't just cure the disease. Like, it doesn't just prevent the disease. It prevents you getting the virus, and that's factually incorrect.
Like this is like a new video. Like he just
Yeah.
did
This is yesterday.
Yeah. I think I saw something like this.
He said it doesn't just give you immunity against the disease, which is COVID-19. It also gives you immunity against the virus, which is obviously SARS-CoV-2. And so, and that is factually incorrect. Like,
listen,
you cannot get.
I am not a doctor. I want to make this very clear, but I'm going to tell you right now, vaccines, okay, do not stop you from getting infected, people. This is what you have to understand. They do not. You still shed pathogen. You still do all the normal stuff. You just probably don't have symptoms. Like in all, I'm not going to say in every vaccine case, but in every modernization of vaccines, like I go get the flu shot, my symptoms will be tempered, but I can still get the infection and spread pathogen and shed pathogen. So the question is like, it's just like foundationally, that's like it's such a lie.
Yeah, it's
like,
just incorrect.
And it's like, I am a nobody from Alabama living in like just like doing my thing, and I'm like, I can go listen to doctors that clearly say, if you are a part of a class or group of people that have a lot of comorbidities, your age, maybe you have diabetes, you have an immunocompromised, you should yes, absolutely, like we suggest and recommend that you get this.
You're saying that doctors would say that?
That is like the most logical thing. If you're really old, got all the, maybe you're overweight, you have all these issues, whatever, absolutely. But recommending this to our constituents, the most vulnerable constituents, which are our children, when they are the least vulnerable from adverse effects from COVID, technically. Why are we advocating for 12-year-olds or anybody anybody under, like, in my opinion, like you should really consider talking to your doctor, go to the FDA and read the adverse effects for yourself. Okay. And then go to your doctor with questions. Don't go there and just be, well, what do I do, doc? Just do what you're telling me. I don't know your doctor, but I would say actually have a list of questions that are smart. But like, in my age group, is this specifically going to affect me in a great way? Does this actually help me? Does this stop transmission? Do I still shed pathogens? Like, this is what a critical thinking person needs to do. This is why we're here, Generation Y, is to ask those types of questions, because just as someone's got a degree like Fauci, he's got a fucking degree. He seems to be, not a complete idiot, literally. He's probably intelligent, but that doesn't mean that he's right about everything. And when Fauci said, what, if you are questioning me, you're questioning science?
Oh, yeah.
What are you, the fucking Pope? Like, what do you... These people make me sick. It makes me sick, physically ill.
But you know what I started to think, though, when a few weeks ago, when our health guy said something similar, which was, there was pressure from people saying, okay, but why do we need to do this if we're young and fit? And they said things like, because it's selfish not to do that. And people were like, "Oh, but I thought it just stops you getting a disease. I didn't realize it actually stops you getting the virus." And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, no, it does." And that's just wrong. Anyway, my point is, in actual fact, you can be making it more dangerous for people, because if you have like 100 people in your town and 50 of those people are completely fit and healthy, and ordinarily they would know when they have a disease, let's just say a disease, because they would come with symptoms, so they would know to stay home. If you now get them all to take a jab, so they don't know that they have a virus because they don't have any symptoms, then they're now going to go about their daily life, and they are going to go and interact with their grandparents and their parents
Well,
and the
because
rest
there's
of it.
this.
So it's actually more dangerous.
It's the same thing that happened with me. Mike, my friend, my cousin, saw that his mother-in-law was sick, but she had the vaccine. Why would it be COVID?
Yeah.
That is exactly what happened to him. Gave it to everyone in their family. Everyone came up and saw us.
Yeah.
And I just honestly, I thought that they have lost our trust. And for me personally, they have lost my trust, these institutions. And I just go, well, the way you earn it back, these people are hysterical. Like, they are passing on hysteria. They're not passing on calm, measured, reasonable requests of society. They should go, listen, to reduce A, B, C, or D, right? Like, reduce your contact with old elderly people during this time, because they are the most affected population. If you know someone with a lot of comorbidities, these are the comorbidities that you should look out for. So like, if hey, these are the most affected groups, so we need to protect this group. You guys should probably stay away from this group. It's when you start demanding. So like, they learned this during the AIDS endemic or epidemic, whatever one it was. It's an endemic now. It will never end. It will be here forever, most likely. HIV, AIDS. They realized some things, and Dr. Drew talked about this on Megyn Kelly. And he goes, listen, we made a lot of critical areas. I don't know if you guys don't know this. Dr. Fauci was in charge of that issue as well. He was in charge of the NIH at the time, or NIAID, whatever, at the time. So all these things, and like, they found a lot of problems that they had. And when you demand people to do things, when you demand it, people get hardened in their positions. They don't want to move, because like, but you got to make it persuasive. You got to make it sexy and interesting, like funny humor, like, that's how people open up. They open up with that. Like if we even get one person to listen to us, it's because we're maybe have a little bit of humor. We're maybe a little bit of levity to the situation, but we're also trying to be factual and accurate. So it's like, if someone would have just came out, which is why people like Trump. This is why people like Trump, because Trump was levity. He was not this dark and ominous figure just moving brutishly through, the carcasses as he pushes them aside. That's what made me fall in love with Trump in the beginning. Like, I was like, dude, this guy just doesn't give a shit. Like, what the institutions think of him, with the paper, the media. Yeah. And that's why he won. And he made some critical missteps, in my opinion, which we can talk about later. But it really is. Their messaging has been so awful, has been so authoritarian and pushing. Look at, like, Australia has like 20% of their people vaccinated because people do not respond to a person in a white lab, as Dr. Drew would say, white lab coat going, you are scum passing around a pathogen because of your selfish behavior, you scum, you bastard. And then what do people go like, fuck you. Like, that's it. That's basic human nature. And then that's just like, it's kind of like us, what we're doing with the Taliban in the Middle East. It's just not going to work.
That's crazy. Do you know what I was just thinking about 10 seconds before you said that?
I'm sorry to rant. I'm sorry ranting.
This is good. Okay. But I was just thinking exactly about that. I just randomly looked behind you, and I thought the picture behind you of the snakes around it kind of reminded me of Putin.
I can't find it.
That one.
Look, there it is. Yeah.
And for some reason, I started thinking of Afghanistan. You know, when you do this all in like the blink of an eye, like all in just a split second, your brain just goes ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
And I thought about, the fact that the Taliban are now getting a bit violent again. And I've had people say to me, because I have a family member in the US Air Force, and I've had people say to me, do you think that it was a bad move for America to pull out? And I'm like, no, because whenever you pull out, you will always have this problem. My dad used to tell me for 5,000 years, people have been trying to conquer, or not conquer, but subdue Afghanistan. And it's just not possible. Like, the landscape is too sort of varying. The people have been there for so long. Like, there are documentaries where you can see people moving faster than helicopters can, like, because they're so used to that landscape. And there's a bazillion reasons I'm not going to bore the pants off people with, but no, I don't think it was a bad idea to pull out, because what are you trying to achieve?
I think well, like, so I listened to Scott Horton, who is definitely an anti-foreign intervention. He's libertarian versus Ayana
Hirsi.
Yeah,
Ayana
Hirsi Ali.
Hirsi Ali.
Yeah, Ayana Hirsi Ali. Yes, thank you. I am a white man, and I just did, like, anyway. No, but Ayana Hirsi Ali, she's amazing, and she is interesting. Like, you look, because Scott Horton, like, it's a lot of things I've been thinking about, right?
Yeah.
And then you hear Ayana, and you're like, my God, like, is she wrong? But is she right? She's like, listen, American foreign policy, some serious critical mistakes. But to think that we should not be there is also kind of stupid. Like, she goes,
is that what she said? But I've just remembered it's Ayan, Ayaan.
Yeah, Ayan. Something.
So she thinks
okay. I don't want to speak on it. It was actually Freedom Fest. I can send you the video later. It's super interesting debate. And this is the worst thing about time limits set on certain things. I hate it, dude, because, like, it's an hour and basically I think it was only supposed to be 30 minutes of debate, but these things are so complicated and nuanced that even from, like, like the communists who say, well, America's an imperialist nation running around the world. And it's like, yes, that is true. Like, but also, is it bad? And the question, and there's a lot of nuance here, because some people really like America came. And I just don't know, because now I'm conflicted, because I really respect her, but I don't hate somebody, but she made me think of things differently, which is what the whole point of debate is, which is the whole point of discussion.
Sorry, go on.
My final point on this is to think that the government is always the answer to all of our problems or corporations or the free market. Is there a balance that should have met? And I think that's the thing that gets lost in the cards in a lot of these things is our design, our individual design of the world that we put in front of ourselves. Do we want to live in a world where we have complete autocracy, like a government that just is authoritarian and tyrannical, and they can do what they want, and a complete government and expansion to all these? Like, I would say no, for me personally. Is there any way where we can live without government? Is there a way to limit government in a true sense? While the founding fathers would say yes. And when I heard Ayana, she goes, I can't say her name. I'm sorry. Ayan. She has lived there, and to deny her experience of a person is also kind of disingenuous from Scott Horton, who grew up in America, who got to read all these books and all this. She's lived it.
Yeah, that's very true. I think,
like, there's some point to be said. But then again, you look at, like, she got nailed on Osama bin Laden. She did. She got fucking nailed. She didn't have a response for it. And she goes, like, if you read their books, they say that this is not why they're fighting the war, like the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. They're not fighting the war because they hate the West. They hate the West because of their religion, basically. Like, so that's why they're fighting this holy war for them. Well, then Scott Horton goes, like, well, did you read, like, when Osama bin Laden, his letters in 1996 and 1998 on why he declared war on the U.S.? He declared war in 1998 on the USA. And it is because of our imperialistic desires. They're, like, expanding our footholds in the world, toppling dictators, instituting our own. Like, he was highly critical of these things.
I think Yeah, listen, I think the most important thing, like if I ever had to tell somebody something about listening to people and learning through in life, it's that, both people in a debate can be correct. Like, and I know that sounds really obvious, but I
Yeah.
feel like we're our world today is almost like you must choose a side, and not only that, you must choose a side of a side, and then you must stay there, and that's what you must agree with. And I just think that's so ridiculous. Like,
Well,
you you and I disagree on certain things, and if we
yes.
didn't, I would think there was something wrong. Like, if we had exactly the same like thoughts on every topic in life, I would be like, that's freaking weird.
Boring too. It'd be boring.
Yeah.
But I think there's also some clear lines that need to be drawn in the sand. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, listen, murder is bad. That's a clear line. Like, you shouldn't just murder somebody because you don't like them or because, whatever reason. That is a clear line that should be drawn. And if people who go out and advocate for murder of other people, I don't really want them to be on my side necessarily, right? Like, I don't have to associate with those types of people. But when it comes down to moral debates about morality, ethics, principles, philosophy, those things are all for interpretation. But when it becomes into the literal, like, Alan Watts details how, like, there's the mechanical world and the physical world, and there's the spiritual world. Are they separate worlds? Like, are they, or do they coexist? And, like, do they actually affect each other? He says the mechanical world will always affect the spiritual world, probably more than the spiritual world will affect the mechanical, the physical. At least that's how I interpreted it. I could be completely wrong.
Mechanical affect the spiritual.
Like, what's
More
like,
than the spiritual effect the mechanical.
yeah, like, what's going to internalize more? Our spirit is internal. It's something that we can't really, in the meta sense, like, we can't really make it leap out of our bodies, right? Like, I can't bring my spirit and make my spirituality does affect micro scale. Mass or macro evolution is usually done through the mechanical. So, like, there is this mechanical expansion, and even, like, the institution of the church is mechanical. That's not spiritual. That's mechanical. That is, the Bible is mechanical. It is a physical thing. It is just something that, like, the spirit of the mind, of your consciousness, how much effect does that really have on the mechanical?
Yeah.
And I would say probably a great deal for your physical, you personally. My spirit can drive my body, which can inspire. I can go work out and get in shape, expand my mind. That might inspire someone else to do the same, and so on and so forth. But it won't have an immediate physical reaction to another person. It just won't. I can't wake up tomorrow and be like, I'm going to be 250 pounds, 6 foot, 6, and look like Conan the Barbarian. Like, I'm just not going to look. It's just not going to happen. Even though how hard I may believe it, it just won't happen. So I think what we see is this, like, the snake picture here, is that duality between the mechanical world and the spiritual world and how it entangles us. Like, that's what I see. I see myself in that picture. That's why I bought it. Like, I bought it specifically because I saw myself there.
Can you just talk us through those? Every time I see you, even before we ever met, when I was looking at you through my binoculars, I I always wondered what those pictures were, because they're kind of bizarre in a good way.
This is man with a camera. There is another version of this that actually says man with a camera, but I like it without it. And the camera, maybe I could do a review on Generation Now of some of my artwork, right? Maybe I can.
Yeah.
I've spent probably, oh my God, a lot of money. I've probably spent over $1,500 in this room easily alone. That one is basically just a man with a camera walking on it looks like something like some, like, beach side, Myrtle Beach. Yeah, and the camera's got an eye looking through it, like, at the top. It's pretty interesting. That is Salvador Dali's Un Chien Andalou. It's a beautiful picture.
I thought they looked like Dali.
Yeah, it's great. And then up there is I think the Walk of the Fools. It's basically a man with a giant dunce cap.
Yeah. You can't really see that top one, I don't think.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. I'll tell you what, like, maybe I could pull them down, and then I got these these three. I don't think you can see very well
No,
right now.
you can't see those. What's the Oh, there we go.
Yeah, these three. There's like the penguin thing or the peacock with a guitar, and all three are from the same artist out of Portland, Oregon. I saw them and I loved them and I bought them.
You're lucky to get anything out of Portland,
And
Oregon.
I also have a lot of Western art in my living room. Like I have like a lot of
Westerns.
Yeah, I have like, and they're very expensive. They're actually like legit paintings. Like those are not. They're very. My grandfather left them for me. When he passed. So.
Do you mean Western USA or Western as in like the Western world?
Western USA.
Yeah, sweet.
Like Wild West. And that thing.
Yeah.
That was my going away gift. When I was on the Tactical Response Force in the United States Air Force. With my Talon number, Talon 237, it says assaulter, breacher, sniper with the assaulter breacher symbol. That was
cool.
Yeah, it's probably like the only thing I have like hanging in my house for my military service. It's the proudest thing it's like one of the things I'm probably most proud about.
If you could only pull one of those things out in a fire, what would you take out of that room? Like off the wall?
I would take the Talon 237.
Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah, that would be. Well, I don't even know if it would get destroyed. It's pure steel. It's steel.
Yeah,
it's not,
point.
So maybe that'd be a dumb choice for me to take, and maybe it would make it look cool. But no, I just think art for me is what do I see in it, and what do I find value in it, right? And it's kind of like anything else. And for me, it affects my spirit. You know what I mean? So like the mechanical world does affect your spirit more than I think the spirit affects the mechanical.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Now you've explained it.
It makes sense. Like, like when I see a picture and you feel moved, like beauty, beauty when you see it personally. You're like, that is beautiful. Whether it's a woman, a piece of art, or, your child, I'm sure. Like when you see a child, like your child, like the first time, like that is beauty. That is pure, profound. Like the government doesn't matter at that moment. The world doesn't exist, and there's just you and another person completely connected beyond any reproach, and nothing should get in between that. And that's a beautiful thing. And I hope someday to be able to have that,
I really hope so. I would say to everybody that can, have a partner in life. It makes it so much easier. Have a kid. It makes it so much easier. Don't listen to people that say kids are difficult. Like, anything is hard work, but like
the first few years, from what my brother made it seem like, because now that the kid's going to school, he can breathe like a little bit better.
It is like it is work. Like, don't get me wrong, but I mean, like and I'm sure Sean would agree with me. Like, what you get back from that work is like tenfold to anything else. And that's what I mean by it's not like when people go, I can't have kids yet. I just don't have the time. I still feel a bit too selfish. And that's mature to say that, because some people don't stop to think that. But I would just say, like, once you're there, you don't give a crap. You just don't care. Like, you're so happy. Like most people, I know some people suffer from various syndromes of being depressed if they have a kid, both men and women. But like 90% of people, you don't need much money to have a kid. And you don't need much you don't need much effort, because once you have that kid, you'll love it so much that you'd want to do anything. You run 1,000 times further than you would for anything else in the world. You give up anything in a heartbeat. Like, it's crazy.
That's love, man.
And I hope everyone gets that.
I hope I get to get that. I'm not trying to jump ship from this part of the conversation. I did have something that just kind of popped in my head.
Yeah.
What is more important, to be a jack of all trades, an expert or to dedicate your life to one certain subject, like certain path?
My dad always said that I was a jack of all trades, and I used to hate being a jack of all trades. I used to want to be like a super like specific expert. So I would say that if you have 10 people and you can have 10 people that are all specialists in individual things, you're better off than having 10 people that are mediocre at everything. But it depends what you're trying to do. But I would say as a general, that's my answer.
I think I absolutely agree. And the thing is this, who do you respect more than anything? and like in general,
Mm.
people who dedicate their lives to one single event, like that's why I love Tom Brady. That's why I love Michael Jordan. I'm trying to use sports because I grew up, watching sports.
Yeah.
But now as I got older, as I'm becoming, I would say I'm still a boy. I'm still trying to become a man. I'm trying to become a real man, a real boy. I am Pinocchio, trying to save my father from the depths of the ocean and the belly of the beast.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful story.
It is.
I like respect the people that dedicate themselves to just one singular moment of purity, like people who like study their whole lives, like the Buddhist monks, to reach nirvana for a moment.
Yeah.
Salvador Dali, or art, or whatever it may be, reaching and striving. Like that's why Kanye is respected. Kanye may be a nut job, like he just works differently, but he really is a person who his strive, what he's an expert at is drama, is exploration, like whatever it may be. But it's like Conor McGregor is an expert at drama. That's what he's an expert at, more than he is at fighting at this current iteration in his career.
I think with Conor, and I've said this with a few fighters, but I'm going to stand by it because I think I'm right. Fuck everyone else. Conor was an amazing fighter for his particular time. So 2014-15, Conor is the man. But then now you kind of, it's a bit like Anderson Silva. Like if you put Anderson Silva up against who have we got? It would be Adesanya. Adesanya versus Anderson Silva. Adesanya wins every day. Every day.
I agree with you, but I also think there's something that we should just bring up about Conor, just in his defense slightly. Yeah. In the last few years, this is the expert of he became a jack of all trades, more of like a boxer. Like he focused on something else different than what his main craft was. Yeah. I think that is a fair defense to say he was trying to fight Manny Pacquiao. Like that's what the plan was, and then everything with Dustin Poirier kind of happened. Just to give it context. That's
Yeah, no, look, I think Conor is a really good fighter, but I do.
He did not lose that fight against Dustin Poirier. I'm gonna tell you right now, he did not lose. I watched it just recently. Me and my brother and a bunch of friends, we sat down, and he did not lose that round. It was close. He probably did, but he really made some critical mistakes, like trying to take him to the ground. But he was fine. He was fine. He really was.
The thing is with this stuff, though, is what we're now going into is we're forgetting the sort of original, or maybe I am, forgetting the original point of what I was going to say, which is we're talking about Dustin and Justin Gaethje, which is a really crazy surname, and Conor McGregor. Because why are we talking about them? Because Khabib retired. If Khabib was still here, he'd be kicking ass. So my point, Conor McGregor. This is just my point. So Conor McGregor was amazing until someone came along that showed his weakness.
Conor McGregor was the only person to ever win a round against Khabib.
Maybe.
No, literally.
Okay.
Yes, that is like a fact.
I feel like somebody else almost. I feel like someone floored Khabib.
No, Khabib's never lost, so he's never.
Yeah, no, but I'm sure somebody knocked him to the ground before the UFC.
Oh, well, I mean, you go back into his early days where he was fighting in Russia on his father's card. His father, basically owned the division.
He's an amazing fighter, though, man.
No, listen, I'm not talking shit about Khabib. There is no doubt, but Khabib he was an expert in one particular part of MMA that he was so dominant. He was an amazing striker, but he was the nastiest grappler that division had ever seen, arguably in UFC history. A nasty grappler. I mean, he could get you down, and he was like a black hole. He consumed
you,
push you up to the fence, and then he would put your legs between his, lock you in, and just suck you down to the floor. Boop, boop, and there's nothing you could do.
And he's
a nasty man.
The one thing I've found with Khabib is that I just don't believe that he is a 155-pound man.
No, he's not. He's probably 175, 180.
I bet you he walks around at 190. I bet you now he walks around at 190. He's 6 foot tall, for fuck's sake.
Is he really 6 foot tall?
Yeah,
Dude.
and he's built like a wall.
You just feel like a piece of I feel like a piece of shit because I'm like 5'7" on a good day, more like 5'6.5", whatever. But I am like 175, 180. Like I'm like 170. But I'm not. I am a
Yeah, with
little
these
bit of a
guys,
stocky guy, but I have big legs.
yeah, and like with these guys, like Connor's 5'9", and obviously he fights a 155, has obviously fought 170 and 145, but this is on their thinnest, slimmest. These guys are working out every single day, and they're sucking all the water out of them to get on those scales for 155. So I felt with Khabib, fair dude. Like I always see people arguing about it, and my thing is, look, if he could hit the weight, then he's allowed to fight at that weight, and that's all that matters. You could talk about they should change the rules, and some people are saying that you should have to hit that weight and then hit the same weight a day later, or like some people saying you should have to hit it a day before the fight.
Yeah,
I get it. It'd be nice for people to fight more at their walk around weight, because then
that's
you
just
get a
not the way it's
fairer.
done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's what I say. The rules. The rules are the rules, man, and that's
they can do it. Like, there's nothing that says like you can't fight at your walk around weight. You're just gonna be fighting dudes that are massively outweigh you by 15, 20. Like, that's what you'll have to deal with.
Yeah.
I think it's like this. This is the bad thing. This is the great thing about MMA is there are so many tools in the toolkit, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's just so many different things you can do. And like when you look at boxing, this is why boxing is a more fair representation of skill and expertise. It's an expertise. Like, it is. It's just specifically that's the expertise. So when you see someone like Tyson Fury, what he did to Deontay Wilder in that last fight was like the most masterclass performance I've seen personally. And I'm not a pro, like I don't watch this stuff all the time, but as a fan, I was sitting there, I was like, this is like insane.
Yeah.
Because Deontay Wilder is like just knocking dudes out.
Yeah.
Wrecking machine. He's a machine. And this fat slob looking dude with like the biggest muffin top I've ever seen, comes in there and he's just like, hit, and you're just like, what the fuck? And it was so like, dude, they had to throw in the towel. Like, there was like this. I'm so excited for the third one. I'm so excited.
I am, but I also feel a little bit like. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying about Conor and about Khabib and about Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
Everybody is the shit until they're not.
Yeah.
So like what do they call him? The bronze bomber, Deontay Wilder, the bronze bomber.
Yeah.
So he was the nuts. Like, everyone's like, oh, he's 6'7" and he's fucking knocking people out and he could touch you at any minute and you're down. And then suddenly this British dude who's 6'9" comes in. And they're like, everyone's like, oh, he's going to knock him out in the second round. He goes 12 rounds with him, gets knocked down, caught by a lucky one. Everyone said all it takes is one shot. You get caught, you're down. He gets back up. And let's be honest, he won the fucking fight. Everyone that knew what they were talking about said he won the fight. It was technically a draw, but he won the fucking fight.
But this is the thing,
and
it's one of those things. Okay, go on. Sorry.
And suddenly, the bronze bomber is not that terrifying dude anymore, especially after the second fight.
I think there's something to really. I think we should, like, Khabib is not the best of all time, in my opinion. He's not the GOAT. He's not the best.
Yeah.
There's arguments for GSP. There's arguments for Usman.
Fuck Usman. Usman is not the best of all time. He's just very good.
Dude, I'm not saying he is, but there's arguments to be had. That dude is nasty.
UFC gets people riled up. Like,
listen, my bro. I don't know if people knew how big of a fans we were about this, but I'm just saying, Usman is freaking nasty. Go watch the first Covington fight with Usman Covington.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Covington is a beast. God, he's a beast. He's a beast. The volume. But what Usman really is a champion.
Yeah.
Because Usman stayed calm. He stayed cool.
Yeah.
He kind of lost control in the second and third round, but in that fourth and fifth round, he was selecting his shots. He was slowing down. He was waiting for the moments, taking the barrage, and then and you're just like, that is a fighter. That's masterclass.
I'm gonna fucking watch that fight after we finish. I'm gonna watch that fight after we finished again.
It's amazing.
I freaking love that fight.
And Covington is like a warrior.
You know what's coming up, right? Don't you?
What?
Covington Usman too.
Yeah, no shit, dude. Come on, man. I'm plugged in.
I
Dog, I'm
thought that.
plugged in.
No, I thought that. But
I
I
know.
was
I
like,
know what
does
the
he remember?
CDC's doing, and I know what the UFC's doing, baby. I got it all. I just think that there is a serious. Why? And everyone always forgets about this, but so I think that, don't quote me, but Khabib fought for the belt 5 times, 4 times, 5 times. Like, he defended his belt. That's it. That's it.
Did
Like,
he? I thought it was
yeah,
more than that.
he did
I'll
not
have a
get.
look.
Look it up. Look it up. But I think it's like 4 times, maybe 5. Because he didn't become champion until like 2018 or something, 2017. Like, he's relatively new champion. He retired in 2020.
Yeah. I'm not doing this to be a dick, by the way. I'm just really intrigued. I know he's had 29 wins.
Yeah, 29 wins, and I think he's fought in the UFC like 14 times or 12 times.
Yeah, that sounds right. 13,
Okay.
15 times.
Yeah, but listen.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, go on. Go.
So, well, actually, tell me how many times he's fought for the belt.
So he's fought in the UFC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times.
Okay, 13.
And he defended the belt.
He won
Okay, you're right. I'm completely wrong. I apologize, my man.
No, it's fine. It's fine, brother. It's fine.
So,
but listen, now I want you to do something very, very funny. I mean, this is true. Look it up. Type in Jon Jones record. Type in Jon Jones records. Jon Jones has fought for the belt his last 14 fights.
Yeah, I know.
And he has won every single one of those fights, except his disqualification and the PED, which was overturned from a loss to a
GQ. It's that 12-6 elbow.
Yeah, yes. 12-6 elbow, like, and all that bull crap. So, like, everyone knew that was kind of junk. But listen, he has never been truly beaten. Dominic Reyes got the closest to ever beating him.
Yeah, that was close.
That was like, I even thought Dominic Reyes kind of won that fight, but you have to destroy the champion to really take the crown, right? Yeah. Like Tyson Fury demolished Deontay. Well, there's no dispute there. There's none, like, at all.
Second fight, definitely.
Yeah. So, like, I'm just saying, Jon Jones is probably the most dominant. We're going to see how he does at heavyweight. He is the most dominant freaking dude that has ever existed in the UFC. There is no one more dominant. He is the youngest UFC champion. He has fought for the belt like 14 times. He has never, if he fights Stipe, it is the longest streak of fighting for belts ever. Like, there is no one else who has fought more times for the belt.
It's interesting that he wants to fight Stipe rather than. I mean, I suppose they're never going to let him.
He doesn't want to fight Stipe. Dana White wants him to fight Stipe.
Oh. Well, Dana White is like, Francis?
He wants to fight for the freaking belt.
That's what he wants. Yeah, and that's understandable. But Francis, very disappointingly to me. So, Kamaru Usman, and I get it. Like, I definitely understand before everyone freaks out. But, like, Kamaru Usman was originally like Mr. America. He was a very good dude. He's a very good kid. He's very straight down the line. And then over the last 3 years, he suddenly became like Mr. BLM. And then you started to get certain people. And look, you shouldn't just judge people. You should be able to like a sportsman regardless of his politics. And I do. Like, I think he's an amazing fighter. But it kind of started frustrating me. And then I could see him like trying to drag Adesanya in as like, we could be, I don't know what that was. We could be the Nigerian dudes, because obviously Adesanya by birth is Nigerian, but he was raised in New Zealand, which is why he has a New Zealand accent. Mm-hmm. And I was like, please don't fall for this, Israel. Like, you're too good a dude to like fall for this bullshit. And he didn't. And I'm so happy that Israel Adesanya was like, nah, man, look, I'm Izzy. I don't need to be Mr. Nigeria or Mr. this. When I want to be, I will be. And when I won't be. But then Francis Ngannou got snapped up by Kamaru Usman and his BLM buddies, because Tyron Woodley is Mr. BLM as well. We call him Mr. and Mrs. BLM. Okay.
I don't know his political. I will keep it. Listen, I don't know his political leadings. I don't really know. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that personally from Usman. I just Woodley. I knew Woodley as the BLM guy in the UFC. That's
Usman
what I knew him as.
Super.
Listen, people can fall for propaganda on either sides. That is also fair. And if you think you're doing the right morally just thing, and this is the thing, yeah, dude. Do you not want the UFC to become bigger and more powerful and stronger and become a more global dominant sport? That's called marketing, dude. They don't really give a shit about Africa. They just, if the African champions get there, they can go build a UFC training complex in South Africa or wherever, and then they can have another stadium and another dominant thing. They can spread the sport. I think that's really what this is about, personally.
Yeah, it could be. Like, but you know what? I think there's going to be a freaking shit ton of champions come out of the west coast of Africa, because I know this isn't very politically correct, but suck me, I don't give
They
a
have
shit.
hard lives.
Well, not just that. Genetically, I know they
Superior.
don't like to admit that they're like, oh, genetically we're all the same with all the various tests that have been talked about. But then, like, we know for a fact that people from the west coast of Africa have much more efficient, fast twitch muscle fibers than
Yeah.
anybody, even in the rest of Africa. People in the west coast of Africa, their fast twitch muscle fibers are 60% more efficient than people
Yeah.
from East Africa. Now, you
Yeah.
think about someone from Kenya or Somalia. Picture that person in your head: Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, and then
Skinny,
picture them in your
tall.
head. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then picture a sprinter from Nigeria and be like, who would you rather fight for you? But then also, who would you rather run and tell the police? Well, maybe not the police for you, but who would you run and get your ammunition for? I mean, who would you ask to do that for you?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, no,
Somalia.
well, I would never ask anybody. I would just deal with it myself. But
You'd run the 24 miles. But yeah, anyway, my point
no,
is
I don't know.
Nigeria, there's going to be tons and tons of fighters coming out of Nigeria.
Well, okay. The thing is this though, and it's meritocracy. And this is what the UFC is supposed to be about, right? It's not really,
Yeah.
because we all know it's a game. But
Well, yeah.
these dudes will come. The same thing that's going on with the people from Russia. I don't think they're genetically superior than the Nigerians or the West Africans or Americans. I think what there is going to be variations
Absolutely.
of genetic difference. It's just human beings. It is what it
Yep.
is. What I'm saying is there is a clear see-through that is happening as you see the fall of the West and the rise of the East is hardship and war and famine, and the strongest people survive. That's just it. The strongest people with the strongest minds, the strongest bodies, with the better physiological responses through generations to these systems.
Yeah.
Like, or to these situations that they're in. They're obviously going to have some amazing athletes or amazing people coming from these regions. The thing is you could say the same. Like, look at the Chinese. The Chinese, when you look at, I don't know if you know Thug Rose Namajunas, her grandfather was killed by the communists. So like she just not the communists. So she knocked out the Chinese woman.
Awesome.
Which I'm not saying she deserves to be knocked out because she's from China.
No, she's sweet, man.
There is something to be said. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from. We gotta, I think, move away from, like, if you're good, you're good, and you deserve to be there. Like, let's go, let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
And it's the same reason why in the Midwest, like in Nebraska and like the cornfields, like I don't know why wrestling is like awesome there. A bunch of cornbread freaking dudes. Like some of the best wrestlers come from the middle of the country. Yeah. Like when the Russian got beat by this fat Wyoming farming kid, like in wrestling in the Olympics, like it was the first time the dude had lost in like 20 years or something crazy like that. Like he hadn't lost like like ever. I don't think ever. And he gets beat by a fat kid from Wyoming. I don't know. And the guy looked like a machine. He looked like the Russian, like his abs had abs, his ribs had
Rocky
muscles,
5 or whatever it was.
like just stupid striations, and you're like, and he got beat by the fat farm kid from Wyoming. So like, hey, I say it's all up for competition. I say let's go to see what happens. But
that's good.
Think, I guess. Well, this became an interesting episode. I think. What do you want to talk about for the last thing then? Because
I want to talk to you about who you think Khabib Nurmagomedov. Who do you think he won the belt from? Because I couldn't have told you this.
It's a nobody. It's Alaquinta when they fought for the unification of the belt.
I would say it's
yeah. It was Alaquinta versus Khabib when he got the interim belt, right? And then who did he unify it against though?
It was Alaquinta was who he took the belt off, and then he unified it against Conor McGregor.
That's right. That was the unification. So like, and what I'm saying is like Alaquinta, dude, that was on a short notice. That was like on like a week notice because he was supposed to fight Ferguson for the belt. That was originally supposed to happen. He was supposed to fight Ferguson for the belt.
Yep. Just because Al He's not a nobody, is he? Yeah,
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Not like a super big.
He's a tough bastard. Like there's very few people who are, and he went all 5 rounds. People don't. He lost every round, but he went all 5.
Yeah,
that says a lot. And that's what I'm saying. Khabib fought nobodies. Khabib did not fight the best of the best. He just didn't. He fought Gaethje, who was a good striker, absolutely like he was a good wrestler, but he was not at the grappling level of Khabib. And then he fought Justin Poirier, who's also a pretty good ground guy, like really very competent, and also a good striker. But Khabib is that next level. But he has not fought the legends of his time. Who is the legend besides Conor? I would say Conor would be a legend.
Tony Ferguson, maybe.
He never fought Tony Ferguson.
No, I know, but
they never fought.
After seeing what Justin did to Tony Ferguson, and then seeing what
Tony Ferguson's out. He's old.
Justin.
He's old. Tony Ferguson's been getting punched in the face for 15, 20. He's old guy. Like it's gonna take damage. Justin Gaethje is no one's tougher than Tony Ferguson. I don't know if there is anybody tougher than Tony Ferguson besides the Moutinho kid. Did you see the Moutinho kid on the Conor McGregor?
Chris Moutinho.
Moutinho? Did you see that fight?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. That might be the toughest man ever.
What Dana said to him afterwards when he was like, well, he did a good job at punching his face for 20 minutes. Yeah.
And the kid took it, and you got to respect it, But at the same level.
How much damage is he doing to himself, though, man? I worry about these kids. Because when you're 20, you're still young. You're 29?
Yeah, 29, yeah.
Yeah, you're a little bit older than them. But, I remember what it was like in my early to mid-20s. You think you're invincible.
You are.
And you kind of are. And
you're not.
These kids that are getting smashed in the face, we don't know what UFC veterans will look like when they're 60.
Honestly, I don't care.
Well, okay, but I do.
I personally don't. I think they all know the risk getting punched in the fucking face. No one is not aware of getting punched in the face and what it can do to you in modern time. Everybody's aware that if you get Moutinho, if he keeps doing that, he's gonna be retarded by the time he's 55. I just don't care what people. No one has ever said this stuff is safe. So don't tell. Okay, it's like a NASCAR guy. You're gonna tell a NASCAR guy that hey, dude, you keep crashing to that wall at 200 miles an hour, might be bad for you. I don't feel bad for you. I will have empathy in the sense man, you're a warrior. Warriors, you get old, you break down and you die. And I respect you. It's like when Ray Lewis said, this is fucking football. He's like, what do you think's going to happen? American football for the British. What do you think's going to happen when a dude runs at you as hard as they can and sticks their fucking helmet into your chest?
I was just going to talk to you about football. Do you want to talk briefly about football and head injuries in football?
Sure. This is different, though, because the NFL covered it up as long as with doctors. They covered it up.
Did you see my football?
It was in there before. I don't know where it is.
Well, I think
you picked it up last time. I remember I saw you picking it up somewhere.
I think my kid's taking it. Yeah, I mean, so here, obviously, we have rugby, which is like a man's version of football. And,
yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
It is, dude. It is.
No, it's very kind. It's very kind, but they are kind of different.
It's brutal. I mean, dude, dudes get their ears ripped off. Screw that.
Yeah, it is pretty brutal. I played it. I loved it. My dad was a lot better than me. And his brother was really good as well. And my cousins are pretty good. But it's illegal to ram your head into another person's head. So obviously you don't have quite the same thing that you do in football.
But it's going to happen. I mean, people will collide. Yeah,
but nowhere near as much. Are you allowed to spear someone in football?
Not anymore. Dude, go back and watch from the 60s and 70s, the old videos of dudes getting taken out.
I watched a lot of 70s football.
Brutal. Annihilation. I mean, people are going up with a ball completely defenseless, and a dude spears them across the ribs, and the guy still holds on, and you're like, God, I respect you. The head injury stuff in football, this is very clear. Actually, with the guise of protection, they actually hit harder than in rugby.
Yeah, I heard
because they actually. Well, it just makes sense. You feel like you're wearing armor. You're gonna run harder and faster and hit somebody, with more.
Do you need the shoulder? Because when I see the shoulders, I just think, and this is not disrespectful. I like football, But I just think sometimes, like, do you need them to be that big? Because they look
Well,
enormous.
they're not that big. It depends on your position. If you're a linebacker, you do.
Yeah.
You want a lot of padding because you're going to have running backs running through a hole at you as fast as they possibly can, and you're going to stand there and you're going to take it. Like,
how big is a running back on average?
220, 230 pounds. Like, I mean, like that would be like pretty reasonable size.
Well, it's a heavyweight. That's a UFC heavyweight.
I know,
running
dude, the linemen, 300 pounds, easy,
yeah.
320. Like these are they don't need much padding. They don't need a lot because they're just gonna take the initial brunt of a short speed of a running back. So like basically, and then you also have cornerbacks. Cornerbacks have a little bit less padding than you would as a linebacker.
Are they at the end of the line, or are they in the backfield?
There's free safety. There's corners. The corners are on the line, I believe, and then free safeties can go kind of out in the middle of the field, and then linebackers are kind of near the line.
What position is the Gronk?
Gronk is a tight end. That's on offense.
I got it.
Yes, so tight end. But the basic thing is this. So like quarterbacks don't have much padding. They have their midsection protection a lot. So they have these giant pads that go around the midsection because you're going to be in this position throwing, like you're not going to be able to protect your ribs. You're not going to be able to protect, your stomach or whatever. So it actually makes sense. But what you do see, they have stopped head. So you can't put your head, like spear somebody with your head anymore. You can't do all these things. But like, listen, even in the action of getting hit, without being hit in the head, your head is doing this.
Yeah.
Your head is going to snap back and hit the ground. Even with all that protection, your brain is not tightly compact. It's actually in a viscous fluid.
Yeah.
So what it causes a concussion is, I hope we don't get kicked off YouTube for medical misinformation, but I know, right? Just because it's the modern times, but your brain literally smashes into your skull.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing that happens when someone gets punched by a guy that weighs 250 pounds in the freaking face. Their brain gets rattled. That's what knocks you out, right? So let's stop playing games and just say the problem with the NFL is they hid that information from players. They hid that information. That was the issue.
I've seen those scans. I don't know if it's an MRI or an X-ray, but I've seen those scans on the brain down, from the head down, sorry, and where you can see the hollowed out area in the middle of the brain because the tissue has just died. That was kind of terrifying.
Well, listen, it's like, would you say, like, look at warriors, like combat veterans, right? Guys that go over there, they believe, like, forget all the political shit and like why we're there and why we're not. I don't feel bad for them when they die. Like, and then let me say this in a very clear way. What I mean is, you're a warrior, and you may have been 18 and dumb or whatever, and you ended up in this situation by whatever process that you got there. But to fucking be able to look another person in the eye and willing to die, like, I feel bad for the families. I feel bad that they lost their life. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like,
no, I get it.
There's a respect that comes with standing in the face of death, and then you smile and you return fire, knowing that you could die too. And this is what the mutual, love of combatants are, right?
Yeah.
That brotherly love. Like, you're willing to go out and sacrifice your body, and this is why the VA exists. They realized that, well, these guys are willing to go sacrifice put their bodies on line for the country.
Yeah.
Maybe we owe them something. And this is how they pay them back, and why, you signed a death notice. I don't know if you know this. This is more of a proverbial sense, but every single person that signs up for the military has a government issued body bag with it. You have a government issued body bag the moment you sign up. And I don't mean literally, but in a real sense, you are signing up to be submissive and subservient to the institution of government, and that you will do whatever the government basically tells you within certain, legal means. But you have a body tag attached that is worth $400,000 of life insurance. It is saying that if I die, my family, this person I signed the contract, will get, my mother is who I picked, $400,000. Wow. And that is the end of discussion. That is the contract we signed. If we want to talk about foreign policy, foreign intervention, that is done at the governmental level, not at the personnel level. Same thing with football players, boxers. These are warriors. I am not going to go get mad at a guy that goes against an education and becomes insane. I'm not going to get mad, like, because like they drove them mad, like, because they learned something that broke their brain. They took the risk entering into informational warfare, into propaganda, whatever it may be. We all take these risks every day, and that's the reality of freedom. It's dangerous. It's painful. There's consequences. Welcome to reality.
So what are parents saying about it? I saw a few things on before they removed the only American news channel that we had here. I saw a lot of parents talking about it.
Propaganda, of course, dude. Listen, people know that you send your kid into a game where people are smashing into each other's meat on plastic. You're gonna have injuries. Like, what, am I gonna get mad at the institution of football because my kid broke his leg, or am I gonna get mad at myself for letting my kid play football? Who bears responsibility?
Or is it just one of those things that happens and you move on with life? Like, has everyone forgotten how to say that or feel that way?
Well, yeah, and I think it's like when we blame gun owners for mass shootings. It's like, you're being ridiculous. Like, let's all be honest and say that there are bad people that have guns. So good people should have guns to take that away, and it shouldn't just be held into the power of the state. That's the end of discussion for me. Like, with a lot of things like that, you know?
I feel like now all we need to do is bring up 9/11 and we've finished our YouTube banning episode.
Yeah. Dude, these guys are spitting hot fire, man. There's just too much truth out here. They're talking about art. They're talking about philosophy. Talking about UFC. This is the catch-all programming. No, but I think it's this deprogramming, this decentralization of thought, of power, and getting back down to our localized communities, having real, like, I went to church for the first time. I mean, I went to a different couple. Yeah, for the first time in like 10 years or whatever.
Like a Catholic church or a normal?
I went to non-denominational. I will not go to these modern wishy-washy rock concert churches.
No, I won't. I only ridicule them. I'll walk in and be like, "You one of these churches that's like rainbow this and
or no, not even the rainbow stuff. They're just like, let's all sing and play guitar. It's like, no. This is a place of reflection, not a place of celebration. This is how I view church personally. I go to church to reflect, self-reflect, and to think about and that's just something that the Catholic Church does right, in my opinion. Forget the political dominance hierarchy of it, the dogmas and doctrine. I really mean the teachings, the lessons are not about socialism. It's not about government. It's about reflection. What have I done wrong? And I went and I ignore the man speaking at the pulpit. Ignore those things. Those things, you can gather things from there. But it's more about a sense of community. I want to find people that have a deeper sense of self, that don't only worry about the physical, mechanical world. There is something else out there, spiritual. I feel more whole reading a book and listening and self-reflection than I ever did watching pornography or giving $5-10 to a charity, or like, it's just, you feel like, and when I meet these people, I'm trying to find a group of young people that have some of the same things that they care about in the world. Like, I want a family. I want a strong community. I want belief in something greater than myself. And that's something that doesn't need to be nationalized. It needs to be localized. We need to look and value our communities and our homes and our property and our individual sovereignty and freedoms.
Amen.
And that's it. Like that. And that's why I go to church. I started going to church because I started realizing, like, I can go to jiu-jitsu. I can go to school. I can go do all these things that are mechanical. But where's one of the most critical, important parts of our psyche is the spiritual, the meta. Why would I not focus? It doesn't have to be the Catholic Church. This is more confirmation bias on my part because I grew up Catholic. It gives me some sense of comfort, some sense of familiarity. But it's like I started meditating with bells. Like, dude, that shit is trippy. Like, it really works. First time I started doing 15 minutes a day, just focusing on the bells, just to see what. And dude, I feel like, my friend said something. He's like, listen, because I said, I'm like, dude, sometimes I feel like I'm going insane. And he goes, No, you're not going insane. You're just stressed out from being informed. And it clicked. And I was like,
yeah, I heard you say that on Zoobox the other day.
Yeah. And I was just like this. I was like, oh shit. I gotta let go. I gotta let go of these things. These things don't matter. I can learn, I can educate, I can be a martyr, I can do all these things. But at the end of the day, when my time comes, I believe that you can't walk through the fire and be turned to ash and then rise from those ashes without belief in something bigger than yourself.
Can I get an amen?
Amen, brother. I swear to God.
No, that's
I don't know.
That's cool. Listen, I agree, and I think a lot of people that are very much. I'm not going to use the word informed, not because I think it's wrong, but I think people that do kind of try and pay attention to political things and things that are vastly bigger than themselves, but not necessarily in a positive way, that can really overwhelm you because you can't do a lot of. Yeah, you can't do much about it. Like, and that doesn't mean don't think about it at all. But, but you sometimes have to be able to. You have to be able to understand that there are times where you have to, like what you're doing, where you just have to let go and remember that we're here. I know people go, "I'm here for a good time, not a long time, whatever." You're going to be here for a period of time, and you should be doing things like going to church, or even if you can't stand church, like if you're a militant atheist, that's fine. Like I respect that.
Try meditation, dude. Just try it.
Try meditation and go to a group. Just find anything.
Go to a dance class.
Go bowling. Go dancing. Yeah, like do a karaoke thing because I'm telling you, 10 years will go by in the blink of an eye, and you'll be like, shit. I don't have a wife. I don't have a kid.
You just like caused a revelation for me right now in this moment. You did. Politics, scientism is right, but like you said it. You said it perfect. You said, what did you say? You said like things that you just can't like I'm trying to mechanically affect politics from my seat here. It's just like me trying to make my spiritual side affect a machine. Like I'm trying to affect the machine.
Yeah.
It's very difficult and limited in its power. But the effect I can have on myself, my local lies, like my spirit, and this is really what it's about. And this is what I'm saying to people is we have to build parallel institutions to defeat the tyrants. That is always how it's always been. Just like they did. And do you know, like, I think it was the 1700s or 1800s or so. 19th, 18th century, somewhere around there. There was this war happening in Europe. Listen, this is a very small piece that I'm pulling from.
Always wars in Europe.
I just can't. Yes, and I remember like this really intriguing part. They said, "Oh, it was super common for combatants to become friends, like during war, and then send letters back and forth to each other."
It's crazy.
Like, hey, how's it going on your side, dude? Shit, as it's a shit show. Like, how's it going? He's like, dude, it's a shit show here. No one knows what they're doing. They're talking shit about their bosses. And then all of a sudden, the wars started because the main soldiers got demoralized. And then they were also like, dude, they're the same as us. We're friends. Like, what are we doing? And then the generals started writing to each other. Like Ern Rommel and an American general had known to write letters to each other. And
was it Patton?
Or Patton. Yes. And Ern Rommel, the Desert Fox, was a master of, warfare.
I'll blow your mind really quickly. You won't believe this, but I'm going to tell you. My grandfather was the opposition to Erwin Rommel in North Africa.
Wow.
He was part of the Desert Rats who fought the Desert Fox.
Dude, that's so freaking cool, dude.
Bonkers, isn't it?
But I think this is the thing. I recommend go watch You're Welcome by the Michael Mallison with Curtis Yarvin. Or I can never say his name. It's like Mendelish Moldbug or something. I can never say it.
Moldbug.
It's like his nickname. It's his nickname that he has.
Yeah.
This guy gives you a perspective of history that is just factually true, but you just don't hear about often.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It really is interesting.
What you were saying with regards to the soldiers, I know for a fact that in World War One, because I visited the battlefields, and at the time, I actually remember thinking like, I wonder if that was an old wives' tale. And then about 10 years later in my life, because I was 13, 14 at that time, it turned out that it was real, and they actually found evidence, and since they've done a recreation on Christmas Day in
Yeah.
1917, the English soldiers, they played a game of soccer with the German soldiers. And that actually happens. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
people in the 90s thought maybe it was an old wives' tale or it had been overblown, but it actually happened. They put
It
down the
happened in World War II too. They were singing
did it.
songs with each other and stuff. Like there always like something. It was some event like New Year's Day or something.
Well, they were on this in World War One. They started singing a Christmas carol, and one was singing it
Maybe
in
that's
German, and the other was singing it in English. And then they came out together, and they had this game of football, soccer, and they
isn't
were
that such
together.
a
And then the bell rang, and then they all went their separate ways.
isn't that like so interesting that during war we take a break on a Christmas so everyone knows
Yeah,
it's Christmas. You know, it's like, hey, flags going up for the night, boys. We're just gonna
yeah,
have a couple drinks, and you know what? That is the brotherly love of combatants. There
yeah,
is some sort of spiritual, not mechanical, a spiritual that does have a slight effect on the mechanical world, but the war will just be put off for a day. We'll
yeah,
be okay. The war will continue tomorrow. I'm
yeah,
gonna kick your ass in this soccer game. I'm sure some punches were thrown. I'm sure some words were said that
yeah.
probably you can't say here. You know, and it's but it's kind of cool that even during all the hatred and blood and the carcasses and the bodies, and they can still
Yeah.
go, hey, dude,
As
you
it,
gotta want to play a little football, dude, and like mess around. Let's do
yeah.
it.
It's dude, it's yeah. Every time I was actually thinking of that the first time you were talking about combatants having that camaraderie, even if they're against each other, and you see it on in the UFC a lot when two guys that have been absolutely beating the crap out of each other, or even if one wins, they sometimes they'll just kneel with each other with blood dripping down and put their arm over the other guy's shoulders, blood pouring off their face, sweat dripping down their chest because and they've just been beating the crap out of each other, but because they know this is not about the last 25 minutes. This is about the last 9 months. I've been training for this fight every minute of
Yeah,
every day. I've been
yeah.
trying to eat right, whatever. And it has all culminated in this sort of climax, if you like. And now the climax is over. And what's left is my humanity.
Can I pose you one final question? Because this is probably going to go about 2 hours now. I'm sorry, but I it's my final
Sure.
question, and I think we should move on to. We didn't get to everything we want to talk about. I think this is a great conversation, people. I hope you enjoyed it. Then we'll move on to. We always do 3 songs and a movie at the end, so I think we should move on to that. But my last question, for me personally, you're more than welcome to ask me one. Um, what? And this is something Sean and I talked about. I'm serious. Like, what has led to our survival as a species? Is it competition and struggle and suffering and wars, or is it cooperation? And that is really like what has led to our success as a species. Really, like, and Alan Watts does talk about this too. Talks about we are cooperative, like we are risk adverse people. We are people who completely reject violence most of the time. We don't want to. It's usually when we're forced by our governments, forced by our institutions. Like no one is actually normal everyday people aren't advocating for racism except the institutions. Like they're the ones
Yeah.
advocating for it. It's like me. I'm like, you do you, I do me, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
so what do you think? Is it more of the? Do you think competition drives that competition, that
Well,
struggle, that suffering, that war, or is it like that fight over resources, or is it cooperation? Like, what do you think is more
okay.
important?
So if I wasn't given sort of just those two, I would say that it's purely down to adaptability. But out of those two, I would actually say I'm going to give one of those really annoying non-answer answers, in
Mm.
that I think that survival comes from cooperation, but thriving comes from the competition. So, like, the reason that, like it or not, British, American, Germans, we have a much, much easier life than people of our age in Indonesia or the Congo is
Mm-hmm.
because our ancestors, they sacrificed a lot, and they also got into a lot of competition and and from what they got is what we're standing on now. And you could say that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm not saying whether it is good or bad, but that is your kind of proof. So the competition is the reason why life is easier for a Westerner than it is if you're not at the moment.
So you would say cooperation has no real foundation? Because like when you said adaptability, that perked my ears. But adaptability through cooperation, every nation, it's like right now, your nation. If you guys do not cooperate together, everyone could be competing and trying to kill each other for resources. That's not a world we want to live in, right?
Yeah.
So like cooperation between you and your neighbors, between everybody else, in the sense of like
pivotal.
that can still be competition in a certain sense. Like, but to say that for me, when you actually look throughout history, even when two cooperative groups clash, right, and they kill each other, usually at the end of that they still cooperate. Like they still have to come back together and be like
cooperation, isn't it? Like if you sign a truce, there's still a cooperation.
There's at the end, it's like, listen, we killed each other. You won here, we won here. Yeah. We're taking this little bit of land. You take that little bit of land. You own the river. We own the end of the river, like the ocean, right? We own the sea. You own the river. That's cooperation.
Yeah.
So I just kind of look at it as, very simply put, it is adaptability, but competition doesn't mean that you're not cooperating. Like. It's like there's cooperation and competition can work in hand. It's when we decide to take, which is not cooperation, right? That's take or demand or strip people of certain things. That's when we are no longer cooperating. And this is the thing. It's like the government does not cooperate with you. This is something for everyone. This is how I view government. Government doesn't want to cooperate with you. They want to control you. And that's just what the way government functions. Thomas Hobbes says, man has no choice. Man does not have the fortitude and the ability to self-govern. It's impossible. We need to elect, or like this is from Leviathan. He basically says, you guys, the common man is stupid, uneducated, and incapable of like actually making rational choices. And that's why he believed in like forming some sort of elected populace, some sort of controlled government. And that's what we kind of somewhat built here, with still the same exact thought process going. Man cannot self-govern. Man will fall into chaos because stupid people kill each other, even though the smartest people in our countries, the elected, the elites, are the ones killing people over the world, constantly screwing each other over, constantly doing all that because it's human nature. So, interesting. I guess that's it. Sorry. Okay.
No, it's interesting. I was going to say, I was just thinking about internet because I always rest my camera on this Netgear wireless internet thing I have. You know, the difference obviously between wireless and wired. Wireless can just take that stuff from the air and bring it and process it into information and then display that information.
Insane.
Yeah. So it's literally taking that from the air, right? So
I guess, yeah.
Well, it is, isn't it? Like,
no, I mean, yeah.
Wired and wireless.
Like I mean, I wouldn't say it literally it's lasers and like stuff, right? Like satellites, like mirrors. It's like mirrors of information.
The waves are sort of traveling through the air. They're being picked up by.
It's insanity.
By that
what
little
is that?
Little dongle in a bag.
Thought it was my penis. Same size. I have a black penis. It's not big. It's not big, but.
So yeah, like you have one of these, and then.
Do you know why they call them USBs?
No.
You suck, bro.
Oh, you got me. So actually, I think I can extend mine.
You can what? There we go.
Definitely
you
not
cheated, and everyone was surprised. Everyone was shocked.
So yeah, like you stick this in your machine, and it grabs stuff through the air. Anyway, what I was thinking was, if this grabs waves or laser beams or whatever you're saying it is from the air, and it can then send them to the computer then processes them and then displays the information
instantaneously,
or it plays the information. Are you telling me that there is absolutely no way on earth that all of the stuff that's coming out of people's phones and traveling around the world now, like if we could see this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
none of that accidentally finds its way into people's brains? Are you telling me there's a zero chance?
Oh, I didn't see this coming.
All of your stuff from
I,
everyone's phone. If you're on a subway with 500 people and they're all
yeah.
texting their mom and they're playing YouTube videos and everything's going on,
The
nothing.
question is there? I mean, your brain is not your brain, but your skull is goes to emit brain waves. Like it does. It does have some sort of like very low frequency wave function.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this. It's like technology as it advances. I mean, you're definitely going to have frequencies, right? You got to remember
Yeah.
every minor change in frequency is a different part of the language, and it's a different level. So like our brains won't be able to, not saying that things aren't coming in, knocking around and firing off like boom, boom, but like is our brain even recognizing that it's happening? That's the thing. Is it actually affecting our like our apparatus morandi, whatever, what is that word called?
Your modus operandi.
Modus operandi. Thank you. Like, is it actually fucking with our like psychological function? Probably, but is same thing when you read a book. When you read a book, it's a transfer of information, and you're like,
But that's by choice.
It is, but so is this.
But I'm saying if it's not, like if we're on a subway and there's 500 people and they're all texting and watching videos and playing games, and
wear a helmet.
This is what I got.
Like, dude, you put that on and you're like, "What's up?" You just fill the inside with tinfoil. I don't know. And like the thing is, would it surprise me if we don't look back in like 1,000 years, like, yo, dude, those people were stupid, morons, and they're like, well, it was like back in the day. We look at the Aztecs, and they're like, pulling, like they would literally pull, like cut a hole in the bottom of their penis and into their urethra, and then feed a string through it as like a practice of like medicine, like all sorts of crazy stuff, right? Back then they were like, I won't have a venereal disease tomorrow. Sick.
Or a penis.
Yeah, right. But you know what I mean? Like, we look back at these we just go, what the like what? People used to get sick and they would literally bleed them out. They would just bleed them.
Yeah, that was an English thing. Yeah, we used to bleed people.
Like, what the fuck is wrong?
They used to sell these pots, which I saw on like. Do you have that show in America, the Antiques Roadshow?
I love Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah,
I'm not even afraid to admit it. I fucking
I can respect that.
More awesome than a guy bringing in like a stupid thing from his house, and it's like $1 billion. You're like, oh, shit. Like, did you see the one? This thing sat on this guy's chair for like, it was like a blanket, and ended up being like this super rare chief blanket from like the Navajo or something like Native American tribe in America, and it was like worth $500,000. Like, just some insane. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, I saw this thing on there, and have you heard of the element? I think. Oh, you're right. Oh God.
Sorry. I went down the wrong. I don't know what happened there.
Oh Jesus! I literally saw the whole like procedure of your face going. That was wrong.
Yeah, I was like, ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. So the element.
Coffee came out of my nose, dude. Seriously. I was dying there for a second. I was like, stop it. Like, okay. Anyway. I apologize.
The element boron, I think it's called boron or radon, and either way is massively radioactive. And this dude brought on it looked like a kind of big soup, sort of, I don't know what you describe, like a big pot. And he was like, yeah, what is this? And he read the label. He's like, oh yeah, this is from what's that? JC Penney. He was like, oh, it's from JCPenney. It's an American chain store, department store. And yeah, it's from the 1920s. And basically what you do is you would take some radon or some radioactive element and you would put it in and you would boil the water and you would get radon water. And the guy was like, what? And he's like, yeah, isn't that funny? And he's like, well, so they just irradiate water and then use it to drink. And they were like, yeah. And that's what we used to do, because we used to think being irradiated was like, in small doses was good for your
It was
health.
like high five, bro. Something
Yeah.
at the immune system. Dude,
Crazy.
this is the thing. It's like people still look towards academia as some sort of like savior for everything. It's like listen, we do things all the time. Even today, I believe, like, for me, I'm pro-life. I believe we'll look back at an abortion and be like, that was bad. That was a bad idea. We shouldn't be doing those things. Like, I really do believe we'll look back just like during the time of slavery, they were like, that's your property.
Yeah.
Government can't tell you what to do with your property. You got a contract right there. It says Daniel Deegan bought a slave. That's your fucking property, dog. I don't make the rules, man. I don't make the rules, man. I don't follow the rules. I mean, it's not my fault that the government says it's legal.
I have to keep this man.
Yeah, no, but think about the moral quandaries that people were asking at the time. Like, hey, it's my property. I paid for this.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because a lot of people know this, 9 states within 3 years of the formation of the United States banned slavery.
Yeah.
Out of 13, we did pretty good right off from the get-go.
Yeah.
So this wasn't federally.
Do you think many people were, when they're in the, like, say they were drinking some sweet tea from their porch, and they were looking out on the fields, and they saw Jeffrey picking the
No, they saw.
Think they were like, damn, I feel like crap. Why is he doing that?
No. I imagine they were. This is going to sound horrible. They're like, there's my John Deere, there's my Ford truck,
there's Jeffrey.
And there's Jeffrey. Like, Jesus, and like that, like, it's awful. It's awful. Listen, I'm not like obviously saying it, but in their mind, they were like, it's just a tool.
Yeah, but they still do that today. So we look at this like it's a really old thing, but like there are slave auctions today in Libya, in Africa today. Yeah.
Or what about the Uyghurs in China? What about just like the people of China, period, in this like basically slave class system? I mean, they're forced by their government to do certain things. And the question is, so are we in the West? It's the illusion of freedom while being subservient to the same type of tools. Because you got to think of government as a tool, right?
Yeah.
Which can be misused, mismanaged, whatever you want to call it. It's a tool. Yeah. So if government is a tool, we still live under communist rule. It's just not named communism. We still live under socialist rules. It's just not called socialism. Yeah. We have parliamentary politics. We have constitutional.
Well, absolutely.
Blah, blah, blah.
Like my country,
and some are better. Some tools are better than others.
Yes, this is what I was going to say. Like my country, more than yours, but yours as well, has completely socialist elements to it. Like welfare is obviously pretty socialist, and definitely our healthcare system is socialist, and you have food stamps and all these sorts of things. But the thing I was going to say earlier when you were talking about, is it right that America is imperialist or whatever? The only thing I would say, the thing that troubles me, and it doesn't trouble me that much, but it does trouble me, is that I feel like you're always going to have, there's always going to be a very big country that has its hand on most of the earth. That it's kind of like, if you treat us good, we won't attack you, and we'll also help you rise up. It's a little bit like when you have, I don't know, someone that's really powerful in their workplace. They're like, listen, if you get the best sales for me, then I'll make sure that you're the next one in line that gets promoted. And I just think to myself, would I rather have America in that position? And by extension, Britain, because America is very English. It just is. I'm sorry. Like it or not. Would I rather have America like that? Or would I rather have China be in that position? I would rather have America every freaking day of the week. Every day of the week. Twice on Sunday.
And I'll agree with you. Like, listen, we have to realize that the point the West is in is because of the British and mainly America in the last 500 years, 600 years, probably longer. I don't know with England, but a long time. Let's say at least the last half a millennia has been run by the West. Like pretty easily, handedly, we've run the world.
Yeah. Well, it's probably last 2,000 years, probably. You go back to Rome.
Yeah, but that's not.
I suppose
that's the Middle East, kind of. It is the West, but I'm just saying in the modern sense of English rule as a monarchical system that is like dominant, like globally.
European, definitely the last 500-700 years.
Yeah, let's just say like at least in the last half millennia. So you just go, okay, has that led to a lot of good things? I think for us it has. There's no doubt there. There's no doubt that I am happy to be in the West and not to be in the East. I admit that. The question is, would China become, okay, this is going to sound awful. I want everyone to just really listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying I want this. But would China, by their expansion, have to be less authoritarian to succeed? Because they would have to. Their expansion, they would have to be technically less authoritarian because you're going to be, it's really hard to manage a global community as America. Can't afford it. We can barely maintain it. It is absolutely devastating to our economy. We are crumbling. Like to think that, and I think Scott Horton said this at the Freedom Fest. It's true. It is very to our detriment. We are the imperialist global power, right? To our detriment, not to yours, to in America for sure. Financially, our
so why'd you do it?
Because hubris. We think we deserve to be better. So like this, when was the parliamentary system instituted where the monarchy kind of took a back seat? When was that instituted?
Like 200 years ago.
So like parliamentary where the monarchy had no power, really. Like no true authority. 200 years.
Like 170 years ago.
Inspired by who? By our revolt.
China.
By our revolt, right? We were the guiding light and the principle of the world, saying we want elected officials, elected representatives. Boom, democracy and the true, and not in a true democratic constitutional republic, right? But you just said, well, that inspired you guys. We didn't have to invade you. We did not have to force
you. Were us, invade us. Jesus, you wouldn't say you could invade Sean if you're going to go around to Sean's house.
Well, I could try to invade Sean. It'd probably be unpleasant for both of us, but someone will get up.
Wait, crypto's crashing.
Of course it is. Yeah, they want to control that.
Of course it is. I thought you had crypto.
I have a little, but honestly, it's not enough to really make a difference. Like, yeah, I'll probably lose a couple thousand.
Oh, it's not too bad. My bad.
Okay, but like, that's what I'm saying is like through our action, through America taking our country back. But should America have forced the British people to make that decision for themselves? I say no. I don't think that would have. I think you guys are probably better off going through your experiment yourself, doing it on your own, making your own mistakes, just like how we're making our own mistakes. And the thing is, the Middle East should be given that same respect, and they should be given that same exact. And I do believe, just principally, America may be doing good there too. There's also some recognition. We may actually be doing some good. Some people may be happy that we're there. It's not all bad, but there is also, and that's what Ayan, God, I can't say it.
Yeah.
She proved that. She said that to me. She's like, listen, not 110% of it's bad. Not every single thing that we've done there is awful.
No.
And there's arguments to be had. You can either be optimistic view, pessimistic view. We need both sides to come together and talk.
Yeah.
And then pull the truths out from both sides. I'm just saying, like, we have a duty as Americans, I think, to look out for our vested self-interest as much the British people should have.
Yeah. I agree.
And there's also this, you don't want to be completely isolationist, which China learned. China learned they can't be completely isolationist country. They need to have more of an open market, a somewhat, it's still command economy. It's direct control of the government, but they're a little bit more loose than they were in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Like they're way more open than they've ever been.
Someone said to me the other day they're a capitalist. Someone said to me the other day that China is 100% capitalist society.
Not society. Their government is. Their government's capitalist. They take the capital. Yeah. It's not true capitalism.
But they were saying that China as a country is a capitalist society, and I was like, no.
No, their government is capitalist in function and nature. They take money, they take resources, they take the capital, and then they distribute it to their people.
They pay themselves.
And they pay themselves. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also, but their people have become wealthier because they are allowed to have some capital. There is a small capital because you can't drive success. You have to. They saw it with the farmers. They noticed it. But
I saw Barack Obama gave China an award about 3 years ago. It was during Trump's regime, would you call it? Trump's administration, and he gave an award to China for them because they managed to get. I think they managed to get like 50 million people out of poverty.
Should we recognize that?
It might have been 5 million, actually.
The question is, should we view China as an adversary?
I didn't get to the punchline.
I'm sorry.
Oh, damn it. Anyway, so he gave them this award because they got 5 million people out of poverty or something like that. There's a figure that sounded monumental. And then when you realize that is like 0.05% of their entire population, it doesn't kind of sound quite so.
Well, it's like if
impressive.
you say, Kim Jong Un improved not poverty, but like famine rates. They made like less people in the famine by 1,000%, and it's like, oh wow, that's so great. It's just like 2 people. Yeah, it's just like it's just whatever. I think it's this thing is when it comes to China. China is using the economy to drive world markets, and they're trying to take over, and that's just what's happening. But guess what? They are not going to show the new movie Eternals, the new Disney movie Eternals. They wouldn't show Black Widow because of the negative view of communism. There is still some pushback being willing to be had by China, and ultimately that will, I think, make companies start realizing that when we push back as Americans or the West against China, as a collective, as a group of people, like we do not want our stuff being made by slaves. China will ultimately have to change its actions by pressure from the global economy. There is some truth to this with this globalization of our economy, that this is how it functions now. But I digress. I think this has been a great conversation. Do you want to just rip on the songs really quick and movie?
By the way, I just read that China has just has just raised the minimum income a day that it counts as people being poor. So they have taken people out of poverty, but they've done it by changing the rate of income, like changing the limit that they count you as being poor. Yeah. So in other words, if you've got 10 people and 5 of them all earn $10 a day, and today $10 a day means you're poor, but then tomorrow they change the rules and say that now if you're earning $8 a day, you're poor.
Did they lower or did they raise it?
They lowered it, from 190 to 169.
Well, would they do that because of their deflationary rates? Like, do they have stagflation? What's the job growth? Because technically, if your money becomes worth more, then your poverty would lower. Like, I mean, that would make sense. You're getting paid.
That does make sense. I don't know. Yeah. It just says that they've reduced it from 190 to 169 a day. I'd really like to know. Do you know much about the yuan and the renminbi, which is the Chinese currency? Yeah, because a lot of people, if you say to them, what's the Chinese currency?
I always thought it was the yen or something.
Yeah, everybody says the yen. If you say, like, what's Australia? People go, is it the dollar? Yeah, what's Britain? The pound? Well, obviously France used to be the franc, and but then whenever you ask someone what's Japan, the yen. If you ever ask someone what China is, they never ever can tell you. And you know why? Because China kept their finance away from international markets
until recently.
Very, very recently.
Yeah,
and that's why
they were allowed into the WTO in like the World Trade Organization, like the 90s. Like it was like a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know when, but yeah, it's crazy.
No, I think if people want to be literal and like say, I think China's a threat to a lot of things, but you have to ask yourself, if China is trying to expand its global market, like it will force it to do certain things that it may not want to do. Yeah. If its populace decides it doesn't want to watch certain movies, or the government says you can't watch these movies, I think this is where you're gonna have to see a stand. I don't know what the answer is. Is it crypto? Could be.
I feel like the biggest, for me, one of the worrying things about China is just how hegemonic they are. Like, people don't understand that, and I don't mean this offensive at all. I've had good friends that are Chinese. I shouldn't even need to give that kind of, that whatever you call it. But the Chinese are very hegemonic, and they are very proud of their own race. Like, they're very racially, I don't really know how to express it. But it kind of worries me, like, what will happen in the future, because in the same way now, like in certain areas, some races in China cannot go into restaurants, including
same thing in Japan.
Yeah, well, I know Japan's like that. It's very difficult
South Korea is the same
account.
way.
So
South Korea is the same exact way.
If China become super dominant in the next 10 years, I wonder if they will look, in the same way now. we kind of moan at feminists for making crap up in our countries because they've already kind of done what they needed to do, but they're not doing it in countries where they really need to be doing it. I kind of feel like we're going to have one of those moments like in the next 10, 20 years when China come out and they're super like racially prejudiced, or maybe not even prejudiced, but they're just
they're already
Chinese people first.
They're
Everyone
all
else
out.
second.
They're outrightly prejudiced now. They don't allow black people to do certain things in their country. Like they don't allow white, black, or anybody to move into those countries. Like they have very low immigration rates for those specific reasons. There is a battle being had globally right now by a few people that believe China is the right economic model for the world. Jesus. Not the moral model, but the economic model. That is the truth. This is what we're fighting against. And economic models. I believe people like Klaus Schwab, these ultra, if we want to get conspiratorial, but like Klaus Schwab, George Soros, they love the economic model and formation of their government because it's a regimented, tight society that you can force them to do whatever you want. So the question is, who will win? Who will win? I believe freedom, truth will always win over tyranny and lies. So the best way to fight, but to think that you're not going to have to get your hands dirty, that you're not going to have to go work out in your local community and spread good ideas, start building strong foundational families. I say we have about 25 to 35 years. You're saying by about 2050, you're going to see some serious, that is where these things are going to come to a head. It could happen sooner. Is it imminent and can we change course? Absolutely. But we need, and if we have to still live under this function of government and under this rule, because we still believe in this fictitious example where I have to select elite ruling class over me, that's what the system that we have in place right now. I am kind of not looking at that system as a way forward, in my opinion. It's it's like still looking to the Pope to make every decision in my life as a Christian or like someone who believes in like Catholicism. I just don't believe in that. I believe they've been infiltrated by communists and evil people. At the end of the day, we're going to have to fight, and you're going to have to fight like hell, and you're going to have to make sacrifices, and you're going to have to cooperate with people that you may not like. Like when we had to cooperate with the Nazis to be able to go to space. We did that because of the space race, to expansion of our rocket engines and technologies to create jets. Like we worked directly with Nazis. Is it the right thing? Is it moral? Is it ethical? We did what we had to do to get shit done.
They were rocketing on my country and used those rockets to go to the moon.
Is it? What do we do? I don't know. Like, is that a good thing to cooperate with Nazis to be able to go to space and to expand our powers? Like
it was already done. I say yes because it was already done. They'd already bombed the crap out of us, and it was over. If they had taken them and they used them and then
should have America stayed in England? Was that the right move to allow as a nation to allow a occupied force that was there to protect you for a while, but after a while, they're not protecting you so much anymore. So like we got to say weird things. Like these are all questions that should be raised. And is that a question that you or I we can discuss, we can debate, but do we have effect on it? Well, how do we change a system? We build parallel institutions. That's a really good idea. You don't like your schools? Get a bunch of parents together and invest in a private tutor. Boom. Like this is how we win. This is how we win.
People are very apathetic.
And the thing is, it's okay, but it's by design. This is what the predictive programming, the media constantly swamping you with negative stories. Your children will die. Whether it's by the vaccine or whether it's by, the COVID.
Yeah.
And then
or whether it's through getting their head bashed in through football.
By a thing, like the communists, they're coming. They're on their way. And it's just like I started realizing something. I'm like, oh, I'm getting grifted. Everyone's a grifter. Just realize that. Everyone is grifting for one side or the other. They're all looking for financial gain, for success, for fame, or personal gains, spiritual gains. Everything is all determinative on one. And like it's like anybody who tells me We're in the Middle East to help these people. You're grifting. We're not. We should leave the Middle East because it's good for them. You're also grifting because there is no way that once you have entered an area and stayed for an extended period of time, there's bad things and good things that come with being in that area. But you pull out, there's going to be good things and bad things that come with pulling out of that area. Yeah. And the thing is, maybe we should have never went there in the first place. I don't know, but maybe we should have. Too. I don't know. I just don't know those answers. I think it's too hard of a question just for me to.
It is. You should wash it away with some meditation and Delta.
Yeah, maybe some Delta. I've actually kind of stopped. I don't drink anymore. I really just don't need this stuff in my life my mind is more powerful than any substance except nicotine. I can't break the demon hold weighing me down of nicotine. It is honestly the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. Is nicotine addiction. That is the hardest thing I've ever dealt with.
It is tough. It is.
But guess what? I love the taste of that sweet chemically tobacco. That wacky tobacco just. Then you wake up in the morning and you're like, I just love it. I love it. I love when I wake up. I wake up in the middle of the night. I feel like I can't breathe for like 10 minutes.
Do you ever have those moments where like you're taking a drag and you just think, why the fuck am I putting smoke into my body?
Every time, almost every day, at least once a day, I go,
what am I doing?
Yeah, and then, but you know what? It's like this. It's like dealing with a heroin addict. Actually, he's one of my songs today. He's an amazing musician. This is the thing. I have the right to determine my own form of self-destruction.
Yeah, you do.
Whether it's by gunshot, whether it's by hanging, or whether it's by like decades of smoke inhalation, it's my right.
Yeah.
It's all bad. It's all bad. When I die at 55, if I don't stop, and I look back at my and my mother has to bury me.
Oh,
it is nothing. Listen, there is nothing more selfish. It is just as selfish as suicide. If you're not trying to live your best life, and I think that's just a reality.
So why are you doing it, Dan? Why are you doing it?
Because I am human. I am a piece of shit. I am garbage man. Like, what we need to do is the garbage strikes. This is how we change America. Every garbage person in America should stand up for America and just stop picking up garbage. This world would change. You could stop wars. You could stop famine. You could stop everything if the garbage men
stop Dan smoking.
You could probably because guess what? No, screw it. I was still smoking my garbage heap, but no, I don't know. It's something I'm dealing with. I'm actually going to try some nicotine patches. I bought the fume thing from Michael Malice. You're welcome. Honestly, no offense, Michael. Kind of a waste of money for someone like me personally. It was a kind of a grift. I respect it. You got me. But I don't hate Michael Malice for that at all. It was my choice.
So poor?
Okay, you want me to tell you what it is? Because I didn't know what it was. I was confused. I was like, oh, these are things like you slide in and you're kind of like, so what it is. And I swear it on my life. Do you want me to get it? Do you want me to show you?
Yes.
What it is? All right, give me 2 minutes. Why don't you just keep them entertained? And then
I will. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this already. Okay, so while Dan is gone looking for Michael Malice's latest grift, I'm going to recommend you some songs. So, for those of you that like a bit of retro wave mixed with some... Oh, he's back already? Oh, Dance with the Dead, The Shape, full album. Okay, managed to get that one in there. Woo!
All right. So... this is the fume. Okay, it's a nice little wooden thing. Now,
I thought you said Michael Malice's book was a grift.
No, not the book. This is one of his prescription, what do they call it? Advertise. He advertises for them.
Oh, okay.
So it's supposed to help you quit smoking. I'm not saying it doesn't help a little bit, but it's just not working for me.
Okay.
So.
Has it got nothing in there?
No, it does. So this is what it looks like. So it's empty, right? Like a little empty. It's just a piece of wood.
Yeah. It's
no
like
battery.
Bamboo.
It is. It's like oak or some shit. It's some shit. So it's just this little piece of wood.
Fume.
And you get these things that they come in and they have essential oils on them.
Oh my
And
god.
listen to me, dude. I kind of feel like I got robbed. Honestly, I spent too much
I
money
think
on
you
it.
did.
I spent like $70. Like I might, and you get a bunch of
What?
these. You do
$70?
get it's crazy. It's crazy. So like, so you get these.
Jesus.
It's a great grift, honestly, but it might work for someone. And so
$70 on that.
listen, yes, but it comes with a bunch of these things, and this is
Oh
what
my
the money
days.
is really costing you, I think. Oh shit! So what it does is has essential oils on this cotton thing. You fray it out, you
Yeah.
put it in,
Yeah.
and then you pop it in a little hole, and that's it. So
What does it taste like?
honestly, like this tastes
Like
like.
crap.
Yeah, have you ever got too much lip balm on your lip and it kind of like
Yeah.
goes into your mouth?
Oh
It tastes
yeah.
like that.
Oh, it's so oily.
Yeah,
Oh,
essential oil. It's an essential oil thing. Listen, I'll say this: if it works for you, that's great. For me, it was a waste of money. I
but
had to
it's
go buy.
not good.
I had to go buy cigarettes. Like I was sitting there, I was like, and I couldn't taste anything because I had COVID and I couldn't taste, and it was
Oh
awful.
yeah.
So I will say, if with COVID doesn't work, I'm gonna wait until I'm all fully back, and I'm gonna
Is that
try
why you
again.
checked it now? Is that why you it looked like you were
I
trying to
just,
taste it now?
yeah, I'm like, oh, it is different.
Yeah. What was it like?
Like I
Talk
said, it's
us
like
through
lip
it.
balm. It's like lip balm.
Tastes
It's
like
like I
lip
just took
balm.
lip balm and just rubbed it in the roof of my mouth and stuff, and then,
Oh, gross.
which maybe they say there's health benefits to this. I don't know if breathing
Are
in
there?
anything that is not other than oxygen, like is gonna, or the
Yeah.
combination that we have of hydrogen or whatever the hell's methane and stuff. It's okay. Like, I mean, it's okay. Like, I could do it, but I feel like if someone kissed me or something, it'd be like, dude, you taste like fucking lip balm. Like,
Yeah.
you taste like, what are you, like Burt's Bees or whatever that's what we have in the United States. It's like kind of expensive brand of lip balm is Burt's Bees or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, uh, yeah.
$70. I
Yeah,
can't get over that.
listen. I did not read in this. I saw the thing. I was like, I want to try to quit smoking. I guess I'm just like a piece of crap that will spend $70 on something with
No,
very little
no,
research.
no. I'm just amazed
And I did it.
that
I
they can
did it.
charge that.
And I regret it. Honestly, I do. I should
Yeah.
have just bought another carton of cigarettes. But
Well,
anyway, so
lesson
let's
learned.
give us your songs.
Well, I was halfway through giving one when you were away, but you were so quick.
That's
Um,
what my ex said to me, you know.
okay, so I was at the wrong end. Back at the other end. Okay, so my first song is Fleetwood Mac Landslide
Okay.
because I love Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks from back then. Although I bet you she's very similar to like no offense to people on the left because I don't dislike anyone on the left, but I bet you Stevie Nicks was like a very stereotypical lefty college girl type girl when she was growing up. I bet she was like feminism and blah blah blah. You'd be like, "Oh, Stevie, please just shut up." But I bet you, well, I don't bet you, she was very good looking and she was a good singer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And not to mention her husband, Lindsay, I think his name is amazing guitar player.
yeah.
Super good.
Oh my God, I just love that song.
It's a good. Hey, listen, it's amazing. Like this is the thing. Don't learn about your heroes sometimes because they will disappoint you. Like almost
Yeah.
every time. Um, my first song is Sturgill Simpson. It's a new release. It's actually a cover, I believe, called Paradise. I
Oh,
like
nice.
Simpson. He's still doing real good country, fun rock and roll, like good time stuff. Yeah, that's my first song. Go check it out. I like it. Spotify. All these songs are available on Spotify. I can at least say that.
Mm. My second song is B.O.B., kind of a one-hit wonder, featuring Hayley Williams of Paramore.
Oh, okay.
It's Airplanes. And I know that song got too much radio play, but when you play it again, like 10 years later, it's actually a really good song. I like
Yeah,
it.
I have no, like I said, I don't judge people based off of like what they view as like entertainment. I try not to judge people. I
Don't
have no
take that
problem.
offensively.
No, I really don't have any problem. I know that's the song that's like kind of like a rap song. But it's not a rap song. Oh, I've never heard this song before.
You'll probably know the chorus. Hold on. Oh, okay.
I do know it. You gotta be careful playing that stuff on YouTube.
I know.
Man. They will pop you quick. I know the song. I kind of do. I guess we just have a different taste. That's fine. Coulter Wall, Sleeping on the Blacktop. Coulter is like Colter, and then wall as in like a wall. Sleeping on the Blacktop, great freaking grimy, dirty blues, man. Like just like fun, but it's not blues either. I will, if we're gonna play this game, I'll play your game. It's a fun. He really is an amazing artist, but. Okay, I don't want to play too much. Hold on. I don't want to give it away, but.
Good times, moonlight racing from the grave. String band playing more at honky tonks, pretty young thing going dancing in the rain.
Oh, dude, it's good. It's good.
Cash.
Yeah, he's better. Like in my opinion, as like as a musician, like not that his songs are always better, but as a musician, the guy is fucking cool. Imaginary Appalachia is the name of the album. Fantastic.
Oh, I'm obsessed with Appalachia, so.
Yeah, no, dude, he's from Canada too. He loves Americana though. He has always about fighting the cops stuff. It's good stuff. It's great. Maybe we should just start doing a little taste of the songs. That could be fun.
Yeah, okay. So, So my next song. Did you know when you did a Doors? We both have done Doors songs.
Yes.
Do you remember the song you did?
I think it was Roadhouse Blues.
God damn it! That's the next song I was going to play. Okay, well if you had done
there's so many good songs. I mean,
that's all right. I've got the next one. So my next song, instead of Roadhouse Blues by the Doors, which you should also check out, is oh damn it, I got the wrong one up. Oh yeah, here it goes. Yeah, it's Bread, the Guitar Man.
Okay, hell yeah. That's dirty.
No one can resist that. You face the left. Goddamn.
I like that. You kind of like that 60s like Grateful Dead. There's like a little bit of Grateful Dead in there. Beach Boy kind of like I just get this really vibe. It's chilling. It's chill. It's like I just want to know what you gotta say just to let me know. And you're like, it's just cool. Yeah. This is something you'll like. It's chill. It's really chill. It's sexy. It's Chet Baker, My Funny Valentine.
My funny Valentine.
Oh God, is that Chet Baker?
Sweet.
Oh, take it back from the mic just a sec. You make me smile.
Oh. No, I know it's like, but dude, his poet is poetry.
Yeah.
It really is poetry. Like, and he's just like, your body so Greek. And you're like, oh, that's such a good line.
Yeah.
God, get laid saying that to somebody, dude. Like, your body is so Greek. You're like, fuck, I love it. And just my bonus, I'm not going to play the song. Charles Bradley Changes. It's fantastic.
Nice. Oh, we're doing bonuses.
I just saw it. I was like, I just love that song. It's a great song.
Okay, well, my bonus is going to be Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven.
Okay. That's a really sad song. If you know the history behind it, I do not recommend looking it up.
Looking into the reasons behind the song.
Yes. What's your movie, good sir? My
movie is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner? Hey! God, I love Mr. 90s, dude.
I do. I freaking... So I feel like 90s was peak West. So the West was at their peak in the 90s. I'm not going to depress everyone too long. And one of the peaks in the 90s was Kevin Costner. I don't care what anyone says. Kevin Costner was an amazing actor with a full head of hair and an amazing choice of women. He was amazing in Waterworld.
Listen. I agree. I agree and disagree at the same time. I
Full
think
head of blonde hair.
full head.
Full head.
So
Never
full.
thinned ever.
Never ever. I will say the American experience of the 90s was two very divergent ages of, or divergent parallel thoughts. You had Pulp Fiction, Heat, this like super artistic, super fun, just dirty, good time.
Yes.
Everyone's here. And then you had like the silly, absurd, just kind of, we're not really taking ourselves like the most serious when we're doing these things. We're going to explore these ideas. And like, I think that was there was that, like, they really had a good balance.
Dichotomy.
Like I watched, dichotomy. So the thing is, my movie is also from the 90s, I believe. Yeah, it's 90s. Is Heat with Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino.
Star-studded.
Star-studded. I mean, you are going to recognize people from every scene almost. You're like, oh, I know that guy. I've seen that guy. I've seen this person. Talk about one of the finest action movies ever made. Bank robbery, heist movies. So intense, so much fun. So much fun. I recommend it. I really do. And if you want, it's on Amazon Prime for $4.99 for the ultra high definition version. So
that's crazy.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it.
$4.99.
$4.99 at USD. So like 3 pounds.
3 pounds. That's crazy, man. Like,
yeah.
Most things are about, well, if you buy them from Amazon or from YouTube where you don't really have possession of it, you're basically just life renting it.
Dude, I know that's
wait, I don't like that.
You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. I think he is, and this is the thing I think we could agree on. You can tell when you're watching a 90s movie. You can tell. Like, you're watching a 90s movie, you can feel
everyone's happy.
Well, there's that, and it's just a certain vibe that you get from a 90s film. But there are ones that are just timeless. It doesn't matter what era it comes from. You just watch it.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yes, exactly. You watch that movie, you're like, I don't care. That does not feel like a 90s movie per se. It's just timeless. It's just like Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock, or Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. You watch that, you're like, that is timeless. It doesn't matter what era they're made in. They stand the test of time. And like The Master with Joaquin Phoenix or There Will Be Blood, those are just going to stand the test of time.
I'm going to watch that as well.
Do it. I think we did it. We went really long. We totally said we weren't. But this is how this goes. Generation Y. I don't know, dude. Like, it's just nice to be able to have conversation, explore ideas, and not to be so rigid and regimented. Everything is just like, I feel like we all, but sometimes that's good.
It is.
Sometimes it's good to just have a little fun. And I hope you guys had fun today,
Yeah, it definitely went all over the place today.
Why don't you just walk us out, dude? Give us the dance number on the way out. What are we doing?
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, guys. And it was a bit of a crazy one, but I hope that you could kind of follow our groove vaguely. So hopefully there was some stuff in there that you enjoyed, whether you agreed or disagreed. Please join us again in around 4 days' time. Have an amazing weekend. Enjoy your friends and family. And we will see you again soon.
Check out Zoobox Podcast.
Winston stopped writing, partly because he was suffering from cramp. He did not know what had made him pour out this stream of rubbish